So today I'm on the range with my Smith & Wesson Model 24-3 Lew Horton Special in 44 Special caliber. Back in the 1980s, Lew Horton would contract with Smith & Wesson, and being a big distributor that Lew Horton was, they were able to pretty much spec out whatever they wanted as long as they ordered a larger amount of them. And in this particular case, they spec'd out 5,000 of these particular model, the 24-3 44 Special, and they called it the Lew Horton Special. 3-inch barrel, round butt grips, blued steel, nice Smith & Wesson finger groove logo grips, 44 Special. 44 Special cylinder, which was smaller and shorter than the 44 Magnum. They would eventually make this same model in a 44 Magnum and also in stainless steel. I preferred this one because it's got the old school look to it and it's in blued steel. Red ramp front sight, standard rear sights, all tricked out, high polished blue, really nice. Now I acquired this one at auction, so it had already been fired before I received it. I have no box, no papers, but I do have the original holster that came with it, made by Smith & Wesson. So they are very collectible, but I don't think firing a few shots today is gonna hurt anything. The reason I'm out here is I have a question. Is 44 Special, or was 44 Special, the big ball caliber that everyone thought it was back in the day? I want to shoot it in ballistic gel. I want to test it out. So what have I brought with me? I brought some standard loads. The original load that would have been most common back in the 20s and 30s in this type of revolver would have been a Winchester 246 grain lead round nose hollow base. And it just so happens that I came across a couple of them. So I found the bullets in a partial box. I loaded those projectiles to 725 feet per second, which would have been pretty much the standard load out of a 3-inch barrel back in the day. I want to see if I see any expansion or anything more than just a big pumpkin ball flying through the medium. So I'm going to shoot it in some ballistic gel. I got different loads today I want to try out. I have the 246 grain lead round nose, like I mentioned, from Winchester. I also have some 200 grain semi-jacketed hollow points loaded to 700 feet per second, some 240 grain bullets as well. So I want to try these out. I want to see how it works in ballistic gel. Does it expand? Is it basically just a big ball caliber like the 1911, which is very effective? Or does it get some expansion out of it? There is some hand loader articles on the internet that you can find that'll show these loaded to what they would call plus P levels, which is around 1,000, 1,025 feet per second. I have some of those as well. It's an end frame, same everything as the 44 Magnum, but I would not recommend shooting 44 Magnum pressure loads out of any 44 Special. It's just not a good idea. So let's go to the ballistic gel. Let's try it out. First up is the 246 grain Winchester lead round nose hollow base. We're going to try that into the ballistic gel first. Here we go. So there's the wound cavity of the 246 grain lead round nose, and it penetrated pretty much the full length of the gel, which is approximately 20 inches. And there it comes to rest right there, if you can see it. Not any expansion or deformation whatsoever, very slightly. Next up is the 240 grain jacketed hollow point, Hornady Jacket Hollow Point, XTP. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what this does in ballistic gel. All right, let's go check it out. It went almost 30 inches of gel, and there is the projectile right there. It does not look like it's mushroomed or damaged in any way. Let's pull that out and take a look at it. And when I pull the bullet, it looks pretty much the same as the lead round nose. No damage, no expansion. Let's try this Keith style bullet. This is a 240 grain semi-wad cutter lead. It's got the shoulder on it and a flat tip. Let's see if we get a little different results with that. And then we'll move into the 200 grain, 225 grain bullets. Here we go. Semi-wad cutter. So the semi-wide cutter pretty much almost made it through 2 ballistic blocks, and they're 20 inches long. Semi-wide cutter penetrated all the way to almost the end. Let's pull it out and see what it looks like. 3 240 grain projectiles, starting with the lead round nose on the left, the jacketed hollow point in the center, and the Keith style flat semi-wide cutter on the right. Not any expansion or deformation whatsoever, very slightly. So far, nothing really spectacular, but now we're going into the 200 class, 200 grain bullets, and this first one is a 225 grain Hornady FTX. It's got the little rubber tip on the end of it. So we'll see if this helps with any expansion. Still all traveling around 700 feet per second. Here we go. Not as much penetration, pretty much about the same as the 246 grain lead round nose. Again, very straight, no wound cavity whatsoever, just a straight line all the way through, and it doesn't look like the bullet deformed at all. There's the 225 grain Hornady FTX, and no expansion whatsoever. The rubber tip didn't even come off. So 700 feet per second isn't enough to really motivate these bullets to expand. However, they are penetrating deeply, and their sheer size would do probably a lot of damage. But it's not leaving a permanent wound cavity, it's just basically a straight line. Next up is a 200 grain flat nose lead. This one is doing around 850 feet per second, but it's still just a pure lead flat bullet, no hollow point. Let's give it a try. Little more recoil, but not definitely anything unpleasant. Let's see if we caught the bullet, and let's see how it did. So the 200 grain lead flat nose definitely penetrated about 25 to 26 inches in gel and came to rest right there. And it does not look like it's deformed in any way. Let's pull the bullet out and check it out. And there's a 200 grain lead bullet, no expansion whatsoever. Again, just a big heavy bullet traveling through the gel, no expansion. At this point, anything 700 feet per second and under, unless the hollow point is specifically designed for it, isn't going to expand. So far, all the rounds we've fired have not expanded whatsoever. They've done damage and they've penetrated deeply, but they just haven't expanded. So you're basically limited to the weight of the bullet tumbling through the ballistic gel. Let's see what this one does. This is a 200 grain hollow point traveling around 1,025 feet per second, 44 Special, and let's see if this has any expansion. If anyone's going to do it, my money's on this one. Let's give it a try. A little more recoil on that one, but definitely real easy extraction, no signs of pressure. Let's go check it out. Let's see what this round did. Hopefully this one expanded. I'm not so sure though. This last one penetrated the full length of the gel and came to rest just before it exited. It's right there. So it went almost 19.5 inches of penetration compared to the others, which really penetrated deeply. Let's pull this bullet out and see what it looks like. So here's the 200 grain projectile pulled from the ballistic gel. Definitely started to expand. So at 1,020, 1,025 feet per second, that's the threshold at pretty much 6 yards away before you start getting some expansion. Otherwise, you're going to see the bullet just tumble. So here are the 6 projectiles that I fired from the 44 Special. The first one down at the bottom is the 246 grain lead round nose made by Winchester. It's a hollow base bullet. I like the performance of that one, and I like the performance of the top one, the 200 grain semi-jacketed hollow point. Those two gave the best performance without over penetrating. The other 4 depends on what your purpose is and what you're going to use it for. So we saw what the 2 favorite loads did in the ballistic gel. I'm going to try those 2 loads now on the infamous bowling pins. So I'm going to start out with the 246 grain Winchester round nose lead hollow base ball ammo. Let's see what that does. Man, it went over with authority. Next up, the 200 grain jacketed hollow point traveling at 1,025 feet per second. Let's see how this does. They went over with authority, but there was more recoil, and that caused me to take a little more time in between shots. So the slower big ball ammo is actually easier to shoot and does just as well on the bowling pin. Okay, now we're doing the big infamous Keats style 240 grain semi-wad cutter lead bullet. This was the one that really over penetrated in the gel. It almost went 39 inches of gel out of both gels. It almost exited both of them. Let's try this one out. Those are pleasant to shoot, and they really did a number on the bowling pin. Let's see if they over penetrated. It went in right there and left a serious dent on this side. That's from a previous shot right there. But not over penetrating on the wood. It's definitely solid in the bowling pin. Definitely doing a number. So now for some fun. I have a milk jug containing water downrange, and I'm going to shoot the jacketed hollow point 1,025 feet per second. We're going to shoot that at it and see what it does. So here we go. Probably going to get wet here. Let's give it a try. Let's go check out the jug. So here's the milk container. The entrance hole is right there. The exit hole is out the back, and it did a number on this, plus it violently extracted all the water out of the jug. So is the 44 Special a viable defensive handgun? Absolutely it is. And you're going to get the large caliber, you're going to get the big weight of a bullet traveling through your target. That's going to be very effective. Just be wary and be advised that there will be certain bullets that will way over penetrate. So you just have to keep that in mind. Until next time, be safe, and I'll see you at the range.